Hello guys, and today we will continue speaking about one of my favorite topics, Russia on fire, because Russia is on fire again. No, Russian trolls, I'm not tired of speaking about this topic, same as Ukrainian armed forces are not tired of setting Russian military objects ablaze. And I know many of you friends love learning more about Russian geography based on the locations of explosions there. So today we will discover more about Bryansk, because a huge fire on oil depot is destroying the supplies of Russian army. My name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda and fake news. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. Since last night, Russian people cannot stop the fire on an oil depot in a small town next to Bryansk. It is located something like 50 kilometers away from the Ukrainian border, and even according to official Russian media, which is always lying and makes everything smaller, 170 firefighters are involved in stopping this very serious fire. According to these resources, they have even sent a firefighter train. But this is huge, this is really good, and let me explain to you why. Because Bryansk is located close to the border with Ukraine, the majority of its oil depots, and it is used, like the city in general, as an oil depot because it has good railway connection and other stuff. Oil that is stored there are used for the supply of Russian army in Ukraine. So by burning all of that oil, and the fire was huge on the videos, on the photos, all over Russian Telegram channels, you may see that like it was impossible to see the sky. Russia is turning into hell, not only ideologically, but now even physically, and we can literally witness that. So the destruction of such oil depots close to the border with Ukraine is vital for slowing down Russian army and giving Ukrainian counter-offensive more comfortable conditions. Remember to subscribe and demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine, and also share the videos that you like. So what I like is to read how Russian media explain the accident or special fire operation. No, this time no one smoked. They do say it was a Ukrainian drone, but what they say is pathetic. They say that they have managed to stop a Ukrainian drone, and by stopping it, they dropped explosives on that oil depot. So they say like it was a try of Ukraine to set oil depot on fire, but we stopped the drone setting everything on fire with that stopped drone. Honestly, like we see that the oil depot is gone, it's all burned, like literally you can see, I think, devils in that blazes of fire. There are lots of devils on Russian streets, because it's not only Putin who is guilty. Please understand that, and I will quote Churchill that many of you quote: if the country is run by a dictator, it is not only a dictator to blame. And I fully agree with that, because Putin is not the first dictator nourished by Russian people. So this is actually beautiful. I mean, this special military operation on the territory of Russian Federation. Skeptics, could you imagine it was possible like a year ago, 2 years ago? But now, looking at the Russian map, we can literally see lots of hot zones, and it is no more just Ukraine that they've turned with their invasion into a hot zone. It is now a very large territory inside Russian Federation. So let me sum up from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective what is really good about these explosions and fires on oil depots all over Russia, not just in Bryansk. Recently we spoke about St. Petersburg and many other locations. Russia needs oil to supply its military industry, but also lots of weapons, machinery and other stuff on the front lines in Ukraine. And the closer to the border with Ukraine, the closer to the border these oil depots are, the more important they are for Russian logistics and for Russian army movement. And the more we destroy them, well, the more we paralyze invaders. This is plus number one. Second, Russians witness these fires and explosions. Once again, look at it. For example, in my native city, when they attacked an oil depot like a year ago or maybe even 2 years ago, they were using missiles and lots of stuff, causing huge destruction. And here, Ukrainians send a small Ukrainian drone that travels to where it needs, drops what it needs, and we see a huge oil depot sent to hell, or actually doing that online oh my god, broadcasting from hell. It's just Putin that we need to see inside that fire. Please forgive my fantasy, but I hope it will come into reality. So we send one drone and we're very effective with that, but Russians have to understand war has returned back home. They gave birth to it, but it can eat them, because it always works like that. War typically destroys the ones who encouraged and who started it. And so it causes panic, it causes destruction without human victims, directly on the military, totally legitimate target. And there is lots of information on Russian publics, their Telegram channels and other stuff. But what is also interesting, I hope that more and more Russians, just as we learn about this Russian geography based on explosions there, they learn that perhaps something is wrong with their news, because according to Russian news, they have already won this war, and they have won war with NATO, the US, the UK, like with everyone. But it doesn't look like that when more and more Russian cities are on fire. And that's beautiful, and I'm not tired to speak about that. Let me know in comments below, what do you think? Do you think Russians start to understand that something went not according to their plan? Because I think those who are at least a little bit realistic, at least a little bit adequate, not many of such in Federation, but they have to see something goes not according to news that we see, not according to Putin's plan. And perhaps Russia is not the greatest. Of course, if we're not talking about bullies, because if we're talking about bullies, Russia is definitely the greatest bully. But the greatest bully is always the greatest coward too. Remember that when making your daily decisions. Thank you so much for being friends of the channel, buying me coffee and becoming my patrons. This is an honor. Thank you so much for all the support that I receive in comments. Remember to subscribe to my Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and join my Discord community. And also we have a good merch shop that has lots of items about Ukraine, and they can actually work well as conversation starters. But most importantly, in these times when we see more and more of Russian military objects destroyed inside Russia, when war is returning back home to Mother Russia, we have to stay united, because we will win this war, without a doubt. Thank you once again for your solidarity. Slava Ukraini!